All right, here we go.
Coming to you alive through the power of the interwebs. Inside the Green Room studio from the flagship source of the Earth Mix Garden Products Network, it's the At Home Show with Josh Cary and David Bates, bringing you all the wisdom and wit you'll ever need to tackle your garden and your projects. Now broadcasting alive from Bates Nursery and Garden Center at 3810 Whites Creek Pike, just 1 mile north of exit 19 off Briley Parkway, or 0.9 miles as the Josh drives. Here's Josh Cary and David Bates.
Oh yeah, everybody knows what that music means. It's now time to climb a tree, don your loincloth. A new one for this year.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Clean.
Yes, absolutely. Hey, and find that project laid in the unmarked grave of history. Welcome in, everybody. It's the At Home Show. It's our Saturday morning tradition here, coming to you live from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center. I am Josh Cary. David Bates will be... he's there.
He's on assignment.
I'm here. He is broadcasting from the home office in Groom Lake, Nevada, and he had to go and do an inspection and a butt
numerous
technical
difficulties this morning.
And he's in a portrait mode as opposed to landscape mode, which is different. But we have his admirable stand-in here for us, and he's
Shrub.
No, that's a mugo pine.
Okay.
There you go. It's a mugo. It's a gorgeous little plant. All righty, folks. It is a tradition, and we are here for you for the first show of 2021, and we're gonna. This is that part of that fourth decade, because it's 2 millennia, 2 centuries, and now into our fourth decade of the At Home program.
Just thinking, 9 more years, you'll be in your 5th.
That's true. And we'll be here for you every Saturday morning. Hell, high water, wind, whatever happens to us. 615-499-6690 is the number to join us. You will go into a voice rotary phone, and Michael will pick it up, and we'll bring you on live if you want to join us. David Bates, are you ready to do the weather, sir?
I am. Can you hear me?
We can hear you fine. You're coming through loud and clear.
All right, yes, of course, today is Saturday, the 2nd of January. And that means that we're in the new year. Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Jumanji.
And today we're going to have really mostly cloudy conditions, high of 50 degrees. And just going to be a very mild day. 34 for the overnight low. Tomorrow, decreasing clouds, mostly in the morning. It'll be breaking up by afternoon. High of 46. 29 overnight for Sunday on Monday. A little warmer, but really more the same through much of the week. Till we get to Wednesday, temperatures don't really change much. We do get some clouds back in the picture on Wednesday, maybe showers Thursday and Friday. Mention of a possible snow shower. And then cloudy conditions again by the end of next week. And currently it's 44 degrees here in Music City.
Yes, it is. Now, David, again, did you have any problems with the transporter system from Whites Creek Pike to the Groom Lake facility there? Did the underground tube work?
Yeah. Part of the problem is that my digital image has failed to properly.
The holograph is down.
But the holograph is down, and I'm struggling with all of the issues on my end. But working through that the very best I can.
Okay.
It's been a difficult morning, but the show must go on as we like to say, as is said. So here we are doing what we do. Glad to have everybody on board today. 615-499-6690.
Now, touch with us. But you didn't answer the question about the travel on the underground tube, because that was a big thing on your list to check there at Groom Lake. It was whether or not the pneumatics would be working properly on the high-speed bullet train.
The pneumatics are definitely well, they suck. Or they blow. I'm not sure which way. I'm not sure which way that is, but yeah, there's some definite issues there. However, all is good. I'm glad to be here this morning, albeit struggling a little bit.
Well, you don't seem to be struggling. I mean, now you have the Groom Lake uniform on.
I do. I got my Groom Lake green on this morning.
Okay. Now, how's the weather at Groom Lake? I mean, is it dry and hot?
It's dry. You know, a lot of dust as you expect, but not so much as it is during the summer months. I did see the spirit of Art Bell float through a while ago. So,
did you pass the trailer? I mean, is he still have his own stop there?
Art Bell's not going anywhere. He's not going to let death get in the way of getting the show done.
And for those who don't know, Art Bell was the former host of Coast to Coast AM.
Oh gosh, I mean, everybody knows who Art Bell was. I mean,
back in the day when we first got started. Anyway,
we used to travel into the studio there and listen to Art on the way into the studio, and you can find those. I'm sure you can find some of those old recordings out there somewhere, and they're pretty applicable to today. I mean, 2020. You imagine Art in 2020.
I'm sure he'd still be doing the same shtick. He was well versed in what he did. That's for sure.
All righty, folks. 615-499-6690. Now, David, again, he is at the Groom Lake facility, which is the home office of the At Home Show. Has been for many, many, many years. So. We had to go out there remotely because the Antarctic facility, that was that one little spot time that we couldn't get out to come back to do the show alive, and we kind of shuttered that facility. I mean, it came to be just a little bit too much to handle, but he's driving
every now and again we have to go out and do a field check.
Well,
every now and again.
Well, you got to go in there and once in a while and just take a name, kick a butt, bring them around. Now, the security forces now have they gotten back in shape after the holidays?
Yeah. Everything's good. It was a pretty uneventful time for me. How about you guys?
Well, I ate a lot of food, and I had I was telling Josh, the holidays are pretty eventful for me because, we do Christmas and then you do New Year's, but my mom's birthday is New Year's Eve and my dad's birthday is New Year's Day. So it's a lot in about a week, but it's fun. I love it.
Yeah, but my nephew's birthday is New Year's Eve as well. He turned 30 years old.
I don't remember what that was like.
Roughly
6 years ago.
All righty, folks. 615-499-6690. We're testing the tech here in the green room this morning again, and things are working out pretty well. This is if you're seeing David's image, it's coming to you via a picture in a picture, and another picture. So it's one of those universal infinity type of shots that we like to have going on here. We see David, and he is. I think he's finally got his stand set up, so he's looking good there.
My technology. When it works, it's wonderful. When it conspires against you, well, it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm. All righty, folks. Go ahead, David.
No, I got nothing.
You got nothing?
I have more than what All I've had is network issues to deal with this morning, and I'm
CBS, NBC.
Tried to do that to the best of my ability. So I've worked around it. It's okay, but it's not what I hope. Hopefully, by my next broadcast, I'll be in a little bit better mode. We actually did not roll in until midnight last night.
Did you stop and see the world's largest ball of string there?
I couldn't do anything. When I am tired, the brain just goes away. I had no ability to do any network troubleshooting, and then I got a quick 6 hours and got back at it this morning.
Oh, you slept in. Okay.
Oh yeah. I've slept from midnight or about 12:30 until almost six this morning. So
Yeah,
it's a lot to try to deal with when you are not expecting to have issues on that end. But be that as it may, here we are. We have at least a reasonable workaround, and so we're going to go forward today. Hey, it's one before we go further. I want to make sure to thank Nicholas Stadden for coming on last week. And,
absolutely.
great to have him in studio, and we're looking forward to having him again as a part of the Inverde network, and great folks over there at Inverde, and looking forward to seeing what those folks have to offer horticulturally.
Hopefully it's green. If you would think they were
I'm
going
going to say that the name would indicate that it almost certainly is going to be green.
Very good. 615-499-6690. We have, like I said, David is sitting in his normal chair now, which is looking good. But there's a lot of stuff inside the green room. Travis was putting it in as we got in this.
His name's Tyler.
Tyler, Travis, the same thing. You know? Why was I thinking Travis?
I don't know. It may have been why when you were hollering earlier, Travis, he didn't turn around and look at you.
Okay. Apologies, young man. But you look. I don't know.
I see no Travis here.
Well, maybe I was thinking about the Clemson football game.
By the way, for the information of all of our viewers this morning, we are broadcasting from Base Station this morning. However, we are closed today. We will be closed through the weekend, open up again on Monday. So just make that point clear right off the get-go that we appreciate everything in the year past. So looking forward to a great 2021. But we are closed today. So giving everybody a couple of weekends to recharge their batteries. And
quite a good newsletter this week, by the way, David Bates. I want to compliment you on your writing.
I think it's important for us all to kind of keep ourselves on an upbeat kind of a swing. You know, it's easy when you have so many different things to kind of get caught up in the funk of the difficulties of life. And the one thing is, well, you know, it's the funk will sometimes lay down with you. And so I just tried to talk about how fortunate we are to live in the community that we live in, and that we don't necessarily have to allow ourselves to get down over things getting tough. I think any of us, I've been around a pretty good while, and anyone who's lived a number of decades has seen difficulties in life, and we have seen more than our fair share, to be sure, and those are not things, any of them, that we asked for. And just like everybody else, we're all dealing with the coronavirus, and certainly we have hopes that we're going to get some relief from that in the coming months. But that's not going to be a quick thing. I lost another dear friend this week, Raymond Ray, who he and I grew up. He grew up right across the street. I learned how to ride horses with him when I was 6 years old. And Raymond was just a wonderful guy, a football player buddy of mine. We played side by side. He was right tackle, I was right guard. Now, he was a real football player. He actually played college. He played college football, and Raymond was a tremendous athlete. But unfortunately, Raymond succumbed to coronavirus, and so it's the time when a lot of us are having to come to grips and embrace the fact that we all have to get through this. We're kind of hopefully in the fourth quarter of all this coronavirus, but this is when the going gets tough, and I think everyone is well advised to try to keep their distancing protocols in check, and let's get through this thing.
David, since you bring that up, David, and as a business owner, since this began, you have done what was necessary to protect your customers and your staff.
Right.
And You have willingly, maybe begrudgingly in some cases, adhered to the rules because there was the necessity to maintain what was going on with business. But I heard over the weekend, over the holiday, that there are some places out there that are not necessarily following some of the rules. Now they may not be under certain mandates, but if they're in the state of Tennessee, I think they're asked to have. Let's say it was a restaurant, and servers are supposed to wear facial coverings at all time. I believe you're supposed to wear your mask from the door into your table, and then socially distance as you go along with it. And if you're not doing that kind of thing, folks, regardless of the politics, we don't talk politics on the At Home Show. As a business owner, I view that as being a bit dim-witted. Let's say let's just use the nice word there. I think you should do everything to protect your assets, your employees, and your other asset, which are your customers. Now, you can't require someone to wear a mask, but you can ask them strongly to wear a mask. You can advise them that we may not be able to provide a service for you if you don't wear a mask. But when it starts to bleed over into other parts of life and affect things because people that were caught up in one of these situations are forced to cancel because they don't want to get old people sick, or they don't want to have someone with a comorbidity get sick, or you have someone who happens to be a germaphobe in your extended family. It's just kind of crazy. And I would advise everyone to just suck it up and move on with it, whether you like it or not. We're all in this.
I don't think coronavirus cares whether you like it or not, or who you may have voted for, or any of that stuff. It's just about it's a disease.
Well, and I think it's so very short-sighted on the part of a business owner, particularly one in the service industry. You know, and you've got your hands on things, and you're handing people things, and you're talking to them, and you're back and forth with them, and then people take that stuff that you're using, and you eat it. Come on, folks. I mean, it's just
I can tell you as a business owner, the past year has been extremely difficult. The first of all, coming out of the gates with the coronavirus and all of it's a moving target. And as business owners, there has been no manual set out ahead of time that says, well, this is the way it's going to go, and we don't know what to do next. So we're all trying to watch everybody else and trying to figure out what to do.
Well, and beyond the fact that if you as a business, and let's just say it were a restaurant, a bistro type of restaurant, if you're not following the rules, you're affecting everyone else in your industry potentially.
Absolutely.
Everyone else in your industry, because there are people in Nashville that would love to be able to be a server or a bartender or cook, even in some cases. They would love to be able to go to work. And if you keep screwing that kind of stuff up,
in the restaurant and entertainment, they've been decimated. And so it's very difficult. But even as a business that has not been as adversely affected, we put up signage, got it all over the place. You wear a mask. But we simply don't have the staff to be able to go around and make people keep a mask on. Now, our business is 95% outdoors. So I mean, you're standing out in the open air. If you've got any amount of distance between you and the next person, I don't know how much benefit a mask actually has, but you have to remember to put it back on when you're in proximity of people. So when you're in a public place, it's probably just easier to leave it on. That's what I try to do. I think that's the reasonable thing out of courtesy to other people, is to say, hey, you know what? I think enough of you to keep the mask on. It's not about because I don't like wearing them. I don't like wearing them at all. but I'll wear one most of the time, and um, I try to get up in the morning. I'll wear one of these neck gaiters mostly, just because I can put it around my neck. And this time of year, it's cool enough where that it's not really uncomfortable, and that way I can pull it up over my face quickly, and I don't have to I don't have to try to keep up with it. So that's what has worked best for me. Other people have, other um, face coverings that work well for them, but it's just about really being willing. And when you're in situations where you're both in and then out of contact with people, it's about
and a flow of people. And again, David, you're the same thing. The customers come in and they leave, okay, and then but it's a cycle, and you can't control who they have been around, where they've been, what they've done, and you're just taking care of it. It's the same way in a restaurant industry. You're going to come in, you're going to eat your food, you're going to go home. But you don't know where you were this afternoon. You don't know where Mama was the day before yesterday. You don't know where that stranger you met on the way in was.
And it's not about even the people. Yeah, you may know someone really well, but you don't know everybody they've come in contact been around. That's how this, all of us, no doubt are feeling the circle tighten, because we all are becoming aware that there are people we know or have extended family or have fairly close friends who have been affected on some level with it. And I've lost a few really good friends over the last month, and it's just heartening to lose them. And I believe they thought they were doing the best they could do. So it's just I don't want to belabor it. But at the same time, I don't want to make less of it than what is really appropriate. It's just for not for everybody necessarily, but there are people who have underlying conditions. It's a deadly thing for it. While I might not have those, I don't want to find out. I haven't been tested recently. My entire company was tested recently, and the only person who tested positive was the one who indeed did have coronavirus that he got from his wife. She got it at work. So, but they went through the whole protocol, going through it and testing again and getting a negative test before he came back to work. And so we've had nobody else test positive at all, and we're grateful for that. But I think it's largely due to the environment we work in. If we were in an enclosed office environment where everyone was on top of each other, it'd be almost impossible if someone had it to keep from transmitting it. But we're just not in that.
You get a lot of good vitamin D therapy just by being out there to work too, as well.
Right. And we get a lot of vitamin D therapy because we're out in the sun every day. That does help. I'm convinced that helps. It's just being outside in general. So anyway, hopefully everyone can really exercise these protocols here for the next few months until we can get to the point where the vaccination can become more widespread and we can all feel a little bit better about it. There's a lot of different times still ahead.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to say is you've got there's a light at the end of the tunnel. So whether it's in a few months or whenever it is, this is going to wind down eventually,
one way or another.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, and Michael's in and out of retail establishments every day. So I mean, and again,
I wear a mask everywhere.
Yeah.
So I wash my hands, and I'm going to be honest. If more than 4 people get on one of these aisles, I make myself scarce. So
just slacking off. I got to go out to the truck and check on something. Okay, we have a comment, Tyler, that
and we have a text in a minute too.
Okay, Darren is telling us that David has a bad echo, except when he's the only one on. I don't know whether we're picking up an open mic of somewhere along the way, but an echo.
I do not hear it. Probably.
We don't hear it in our cans, Darren. So I mean, we're getting the live feed as it goes through. 615-499-6690. If you have a text or if you have a comment, you can call. We'll put you on the air. We'll call you back.
First time I've been misunderstood.
Echo. This morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the text. Wait, the comment. What are we doing first?
No, the text.
There's a comment about the echo.
The comment was about the echo.
Okay. Well, the text is, so we're rolling into 2021. This is from Denise, and she wants to know how soon she needs to clean out her, what do you call them? I call them raised beds. You call them above ground
gardening.
Above ground garden. So that she can get it ready for some of these cooler weather plants that are obviously going to be coming around here in about a couple of months or so.
Right. Well, there's no particular rush. However, that's something that you if you're going in with cool season vegetables, you probably within a month you want to have that done and get that all ready to go. Because depending on what the weather does, you're likely going to be beginning to plant those cool season vegetables by the middle of February. Now, it is entirely possible that you're going to start so early that you might want to cover your little raised bed area with a temporary greenhouse cover. You can make that with PVC pipe and just plastic that you can buy at a box store. And that stretches your window that much more. However, right now you're kind of limited to what would be available. Yeah, we don't expect cool season vegetable plants to be arriving before the middle of February. I mean, that would be the very
seed catalog people are already pushing starts and everything. Like if you're on any kind of particularly on the F book,
if you're starting to seed on your own, certainly you've got a lot more control over that. Go ahead and get those out as early as possible. But chances are most people are going to wait and start the little starter plants. It makes it a lot easier that way.
Now, David, we're through with the lettuces, of course, that we put in for our cool season crop, and they were wonderful and glorious. And we had our broccoli. We finally had our 2 servings of broccoli. We really did. I mean, it was amazing. It was the best broccoli I've ever grown.
My broccoli didn't grow.
Your broccoli didn't grow? Oh my goodness! I don't know why your broccoli didn't grow, but. The Brussels sprouts, I have, when will they actually ripen? They're about as big around as a good-sized grape right now. But still the plants seem fine and wonderful and great. I could probably harvest them and cook them now, but, don't see them.
You're not going to see them mature much more from where they are right now. Now, maybe you got them planted a little bit late, or I'm not sure what your schedule was on that, but even if they're small, you can go ahead and harvest those. Harvest the entire stem and cook them up. We had Brussels sprouts night before last, and I would have told you for most of my life that I would not be a Brussels sprouts fan, but actually I have become quite a Brussels sprouts fan. It's strange how your tastes change as you age. At least mine has. There's a lot of things a few things. I've never been real picky. I seem to be I make a poor food critic, I contend, because the worst food I ever ate wasn't too bad. So my appetite is diverse, but the Brussels sprouts is one of those things I did not care for. I used to not like okra either, the okra has become perhaps one of my very favorite. Particularly pickled
steam,
pickle
gumbo.
I'm even okay with it boiled. That's really the one that I had the greatest aversion for. But I can even eat it boiled. It's okay. But I prefer it.
Well, they've genetically engineered the slime out of it in a lot of ways too, haven't they?
Yeah. Pickling it or frying it gets rid of that sliminess. But I really like pickled, and I'll take the pickle and add extra Carolina peppers to it. Really get a punch.
Now, how do you like your Brussels sprouts? Do you like them sautéed? Do you like them cut in half and cooked in the oven and roasted with some maple syrup and a nice balsamic?
When you pick okra, the biggest mistake people make growing okra is you got to pick it. You got to pick it every day, sometimes twice a day if you have a lot of plants, because they'll go from the size of the tip end of your finger to 6 inches long in a in about a day and a half time. So if you have to really stay on top of it and pick them, and you always want to pick them when they're maybe about 3 to 3.5 inches long. Yeah, you don't want you if you wait until they go beyond that, then they get really tough. So you got to stay on, pick them, and when you are looking for them, you have to really look from a lot of different angles. They're very easily disguised. It amazes me how much I try to look for them, and how I will miss one, and there'll be one 6 inches long that I have looked right at the plant 2 or 3 days consecutively and not seen it. So they're kind of stealthy a little bit. They're a bit camouflaged against the stems of the plant.
Well, then they get to the consistency of a cardboard box. And I mean, they're hard to cut. Oh,
people are bad about that. They think that's a good thing. And they're also bad about allowing zucchini and cucumbers to grow too large. And the same thing holds true for those. Is you know having a zucchini that's 2 feet long is not something to take pride in. That's just big.
Is that 2 feet long? Okay. Okay. I see. 615-499-6690. Big.
You know how the way I cook Brussels sprouts is I cut them in half like you're talking about. Olive oil and just some salt and pepper.
A little garlic.
Mm-hmm.
Little garlic.
It's delicious that way. Or for squash and zucchini, you dice that up, put it in a skillet with some dill and some onions, and some olive oil. It's really good.
8:30 in the morning, you're making me hungry.
Yeah.
For Brussels sprouts, you could have a Brussels sprout smoothie.
What is wrong with you?
What would be wrong with a Brussels sprout smoothie?
One, the main ingredients are Brussels sprout.
Okay.
The only proper way to eat Brussels sprouts is the way I just described to you.
Oh, no. You get them in that bag. David, you remember the bags that the mom used to buy at the grocery store that, of course, you buy them at the grocery store, that had that yellow concoction all the way around them, and then you threw them into the boiling water and waited until it all just melted away, and then you poured it out on the plate. That's the ones you really liked, wasn't it, David?
Yeah, the plastic just melts away. You don't have to worry; it's dissolvable. It's all good for you.
Okay.
615-499-6690. And of course, all of this stuff grows much better in an earth mix garden product. Whether you're growing
we really
cauliflower,
trying to develop a soil line that's all about everything staying organic and doing that in a sustainable kind of way. So, when you're shopping for that this spring, no matter where you are at independent garden centers all over Middle Tennessee and Kentucky, Earth Mix is even up in Illinois and Ohio. You can be assured that when you deal with those independent garden centers, that you're going to get a product that really takes the thought process out of soil preparation. That's one of the tough things about gardening that you can just kind of take out of the equation, because it doesn't matter if you're a master gardener, if you've been a horticulturist for years, or you're a neophyte, somebody who's just starting gardening this year. There's a lot of folks who fall into that category this year. You've been gardening before, Josh, but
alongside David doing this for long enough, you can't really be considered a beginner.
This is the first year that I really put in a garden, though. I mean, we lost Opa last year, so I mean, he was the gardener in the family, and there was no point in trying to outcompete him, because he was the guy that had all the stuff, and he had all the tools, and he had to pick.
Well, you don't want to have thinking about all of the great numbers of things that you need to be adding to it. You just open the bag and put that into the container or in the garden that you're going to grow your plants in and plant directly into it without doing anything else. It just makes life a lot easier for everyone who is getting ready to get in the garden. There's enough other things that Mother Nature presents that are challenges for all of us. Disease and insects and those kind of things. And The kind of things that Dr. Allen Wyndham, our good friend of the show, deals with regularly.
David, Lisa is listening in Costa Rica this morning.
So,
buenos
dias.
But wonder if the volcano's going off. Hope not.
Glad to
There's
have
a volcano going off somewhere in Costa Rica. I can pretty well
I know that Kilauea has been acting up of late. And it's been a couple 3 years since that's happened. But I think the last time it erupted about 3 years ago, I want to say that about 70 homes were taken out.
Pele got a bad mood. I mean, I don't know what's going on with that. Somebody took a
just
rock
don't
away.
wanna
You can't go to
Hawaii.
Hawaii, so, huh?
If you're going to be on the big island, you might want to kind of go north and not be on that south side. It's a beautiful spot. Up there near Parker Ranch, or as they say in the Big Island, Paca.
Okay.
So, yeah, you pretty much not much you can do about volcanoes except just avoid them.
You being really big on the weather, David, have you seen this giant storm that's going to hit Alaska? Apparently, what they call it, it's they're calling it a bomb cyclone or something.
Bomb cyclone.
Bombogenesis is what it did, or something like that.
So it's just going to be a major snow blizzard event for them.
Looks like it, but I think it's mainly going to hit north of all the mostly populated areas. So it'll just the bears.
Well, everything is north of the from all intents and purposes.
Well, you know what I
north
mean.
or off the coast, but I guess the price of crab legs is going to go up because you don't want to be out on a crab boat. No, wouldn't want to be out in one of those.
They said the waves out there are like topping 50 feet in the middle of the ocean.
Oh, my word!
So
how'd you like to be out on a boat like that? I've actually been on a. We used to go deep sea fishing when my dad was still living 30 years ago. We would go deep sea fishing. And we were in a 39-foot vessel, and we had 35-foot seas once upon a time. And I would tell you, even back in the day, there was very little beer drank on that trip.
You couldn't keep it on the table. I mean, it would just, you'd have to.
I believe that was the only trip that we actually brought alcohol back with us. That's what rough seas can do to you. It can it can change your priorities even on a trip where you're thinking severely.
Smooth sailing becomes not so.
Well, you just you can't drink the beer because you can't go to the head, because if you go to the head and you get that one of those like that, you be all over.
You gotta keep your elbows out and trying to fill space so you don't clobber your head against the walls.
Now, David,
I do enjoy sailing, but I don't like that.
Now I want you to do that. I want you to use to make that visual again, where you were trying to block your. Okay, this is with your arms. Now, I guess we should clarify: is this a number one position or a number two position?
Well, I would say that's a number one position, but then that creates one more problem. We won't go there.
I was trying to go there. Come on. All righty, 615-499-6690. We were on a snorkeling trip in the islands, and we went to the volcanic atoll off of Maui that is so popular. Oh my goodness! But they take the boats out there and they park them. They're 10 or 12 or 15. We were in about an 80-foot boat. We had gone out on top of the boat. It was a breakfast cruise with the buffet and everything, and we sat up on top. It was glorious, wonderful. Got out there and got to snorkeling. It was supposed to be a 2-hour tour, not a 3-hour tour, because you know better than to get on a boat and go on a 3-hour tour. But we were in the water about 25 minutes, and then they started blowing horns, and all the boats started pulling up anchors and pulling everybody out of the water. We had to go back to the town and the port that we were coming from, and Maui has got a mountain on one side and a mountain on the other side with a great big hollow area right in between them. And the trade winds came up, and we were only in 6-foot seas, David. And I thought the world was coming to an end.
You ever seen Storm of the Century with George Clooney?
Oh yeah.
Or no, Perfect Storm.
Perfect Storm.
Yeah, no.
That's real.
I know it's real, but no. If I'd been on that boat and you see all these waves, yeah, we can yank it back through there. No, I think I just chill, let the fish die, get stinky, and save my life. So
Well, he was trying. I mean, the scene where they go up the side, the front of the.
that's what I'm talking about.
There you go. All right,
we're not about that at all.
No.
All right, because it was probably tuna too. Or
okay,
mackerel.
guys, I gotta know something.
What do you got to know?
Where do you come down on resolution? Are you a resolution maker? Boy, here's a new year. I'm gonna start doing this. Or I'm gonna stop doing this. Where do you come down on that?
Well, the only time that I've ever made a resolution was about 40 years ago. I said I'd never make a resolution.
Oh, okay.
So have you been able to keep to
I've
that?
kept to it. So
I make one or two, but I keep them to myself because I feel like if you share them, it increases the pressure because everyone's watching you. So I don't really.
People actually expect you to do it. You're able to understand if you have to make an allowance, right?
Yes.
So it's just
Let's think about some resolutions with respect to gardening. Something that our good friend Nicholas Stadden talked about last week was one of the things he mentioned was composting. The composting is one of those things that everybody can do. There's no reason, no matter where you live, you can do composting, even if it's on a really small scale. So, for most people, it's just a matter of taking your vegetative food scraps and combining them with your yard waste and turning it every couple of weeks, and you're really going to take a tremendous gift that Mother Nature is just giving to you. It takes a little bit of action, but it doesn't take a huge amount.
like the barrels that are on the smaller barrels
Those
that they put
are
on the
fine.
stand.
If you only have a small amount, that's really good because it takes dirtiness out of it. Now you do have to deal with you have it's a little difficult to get it in there. It's a little difficult to get it out, but beyond that, it really does a great job. And
There's a moisture that comes out, or a liquid that is part of that decay process that is used, that is very beneficial for the garden. I think they call it the compost tea.
Right. Compost tea, liquid pour through it, it comes out of it. It's very rich in nutrients, and so that's good for watering plants, particularly if you're taking them inside. Josh, here's one that here's a resolution you ought to consider. Don't stop calling your garden hose a hose pipe.
I only do that.
And while we're on it, stop calling it an above ground garden. It's a raised garden bed.
No, it's an above ground garden. Now, a hose pipe, that is that's an homage to my bride, because that was what she was raised that thing was called, was a hose pipe.
Well, and
it technically is a hosey pipe, but it's not a pipe.
As well as in the mother country in England, in Great Britain, they were still referred to it as a hose pipe. So those are, but the question that always comes to mind, it just seems indecisive though. I mean, is it a hose or is it a pipe? I don't know. It's a hose pipe. Anyway, it's all made as one word. Here's one resolution we can agree on, I think, guys, is reading the label on all those products that you buy. Like the label that tells you how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
Particularly when you're talking about using chemicals that you might be spraying on your garden plants or whatever. And more is not always better. There are recommended rates. Sometimes there are situations where that higher rate is called for, but generally speaking,
Though you don't want to put a herbicide in with your fungicide.
Yeah, and it's not just limited to gardening things. There's all kinds of other chemicals that are used, from driveway sealers to everything else. Most of the success in using any product is understanding how and what the conditions need to be to have decent results under it. And certainly, if you're thinking about doing a driveway seal this weekend, your timing may be a little off.
Well, the sealer people like it, but your neighbors down the street won't particularly care for it, and your tires on your car and your Yeah, it'll be nasty. Plus, it'll have a nice texture to it with all the Bradford pear leaves that are finally falling off of the trees here in Middle Tennessee.
Hey, another thing that people could be thinking about is mulching around your trees. Now, that mulching around your trees is a good thing, but building a mountain over the top of your tree is not mulching around it. That's actually going to kill the tree. And what you're right, 3 to 4 inches is a really good amount. People who put 8 or 10 inches are going to kill that tree. And what happens is that the bark stays wet when it's mulched around.
Now, how about this? We don't plant our annuals in the 8-inch deep mulch that's in front of the house either. We don't want to put our color directly into the mulch, right? That would be a good one to make. But we have to get everybody to do it.
But then if you pile the mulch up around the trunk of a tree, what happens is it rots the bark off. It can rot it all the way around. And once you've done that, the tree's dead.
Yep.
And you don't know. There's no bringing it back once you've done that. So
no amount of water, no amount of fertilizer is going to bring back a dead tree, right?
Right. Now, one of the things that a lot of people don't avail themselves to, Josh, is using a drip type or a low pressure type irrigation system.
Mm-hmm.
And those are very non-spectacular. And I know we all want water. We like to see the water fly, and it's a very appealing thing. And Nicholas talked about last week about having water in your garden. What he's talking about is like a pool of water, either a bird bath or something that will attract wildlife to it. Irrigation is not normally going to do that, but the plants don't need water on the foliage per se. They're okay with it because it tends to drip off and go to the ground, and that's where the water's taken up. So using a drip or a soaker type system puts the water precisely where you need it without it.
For square foot gardening as well.
Yes.
I mean, very inexpensive. You're talking about 1 10-foot piece
of. You don't have to have a full-blown installed irrigation system, although those are great. But you don't have to have that to be able to effectively irrigate. We don't have one at our house, so now it does mean that we drag a hose a bit, and so there is that. But having an installed system is a good thing, but it's not required to have success.
No, but David, one of my stocking stuffer gifts this year was a pH meter. I've never owned a pH meter before. That is you've talked about pH meters for years and years, and it's going to be a new tool in the arsenal, on the work belt as we go along. I got one that's approximately 12, 13 inches long with 2 probes, and it's also a moisture meter as well as a light meter. And the pH.
So it gives you a multifunction device. And it only costs about $10. But the soil pH is one of the things that's really important to know, particularly in this area. If you're growing plants that are acid-loving, such as blueberries, you need to be able to know that the pH is sufficiently low to grow those. Generally, you want it to be about 5.5 for blueberries. In our area, it generally runs almost neutral, about 7, maybe as low as 6.8, but that's just barely acidic. You really want to be on down to at least 5.5, if not all the way to 5. So you can achieve soil acidity by adding some sort of sulfur compound. You can use elemental sulfur, which is great. It just takes a lot. It lasts a long time, but it takes a lot longer for it to become active. So you have to kind of put that down 6 months before you really want it to be available in the soil. Using other things like aluminum sulfate or magnesium sulfate will much more quickly change the pH, but it doesn't last for nearly as long. So just keep that in mind. Of course, if you're going to have a landscape, it's really a good idea to think about having some fruit berry producing plants. And I already mentioned blueberries, things like blackberries, and Josh, I know you're a huge honeyberry fan.
Oh yeah, I mean, I had a bumper crop
all three of them that you've eaten. They're great.
And I only have 3 plants too, David. So I mean, we had a half a dozen last year. So
you have most of the honeyberries that are in Middle Tennessee, Josh.
Well, but the birds like those as well. So I think they were. I didn't get to eat any of my blueberries this year because they didn't get quite blue enough. But the birds don't really care if they're quite blue enough to eat. So
no, they'll sit there and the birds, the mockingbirds found my figs this year. And figs are probably my favorite fruit producing plant. And really, in our area, they're almost impossible to beat. They're heavy fruit producers, particularly. I mean, even from the first year you get them in the ground, you're going to likely get fruit on them if you get them in a good sunny spot. But the mockingbirds, they ate as many as I ate this year, and it produced several hundred. And they got to a bunch of them, and they make me mad because they don't just eat one and eat it all. They'll peck holes in a bunch of them. That really makes me mad.
Again now the edible landscape. That was we started talking about it as a big thing 12 years ago. It's been about 12 years. I have one one of the repeat bearing strawberry plants left from that original crop, and he comes back every single year. It's amazing that we'll get a few berries off of that, but the rabbits like those really well. So, and it's not necessarily in a
it doesn't really take any longer to plan to have some edible landscape plants in your garden and in your yard than it does anything else, and there's absolutely no downside to it.
Beautiful. Sage is a
I'm not
beautiful
talking
fruit.
about necessarily planting rows of corn in your yard. That might get you some looks in the neighborhood, but you certainly can add things such as
You would certainly be a
blueberry,
topic
fig
of, at
tree.
the HOA meeting if you put the corn in the landscape. But sage, rosemary, even
Those are all particularly good as pot plants, potted plants, I should say. There's a slight difference. Potted plants that you keep on the patio or on the deck area because you're that and basil and those kind of things you're going to use a lot in cooking, and they're not supposed to go out and pinch a little piece off of it and add it to a recipe that you're working on. And they're very easy to care for.
the one that I have trouble getting any success out of is dill. It just seems like I'm not putting it in the right spot. I mean, you say you want to have sun, but seems like it burns up too quickly. But we'll see. It did real well. I thought I had lost some, and I have a semi-corn of a. I don't really have a true compost pile, but over there by the tree line, there's this kind of a trash area where a lot of that stuff goes to. And I had dill in my. It must have come back. Must have gotten to seed and came back from last year's stuff year before last year.
Hey, something else that people need to be thinking about when you've got all these edibles in your landscape, if you've got any kind of pest problems, whether it's mealy bugs or scale or aphids or whatever, if you're going to do something that's very broad spectrum and very easy to apply this time of year, dormant oil is what you need to be thinking about. And too often people come to that conclusion after dormancy has passed. So you don't want to do dormant oil while you've got growing. The name tells you exactly the time that you want to use it. So generally within about 6 weeks or so, you want to have that applied. And it really is one of the most universally positive things you can do for garden plants, things that you're trying, if you're having pest or problems on a lot of things, dormant oil literally coats it with a thin layer of oil and it smothers, particularly effective on scale. So you do that and spray thoroughly, making sure when you spray that you not only hit the tops of the leaves, but you hit the undersides. And that's where a lot of people miss their best application opportunity, is that they don't turn the sprayer handle upside down and coat the underside of the leaves. That's where a whole lot of the pests reside. So if you miss that spot, you're not ever going to have very good success with spraying any type of pesticide.
And that's more of a preventive than it is a true pet. Because if you spray dormant oil on a bug, it's probably going to smother it, but you're not going to really do a whole lot of good for the rest of them, right?
Well, it's just important to do. Of course, one of the other things that's important to have in your garden, Josh, is a bench. Because you don't want to spend all your time working in a garden. You want to be able to sit out there and have a snack, drink a glass of iced tea, and enjoy the
I got the
all the
recliner inside
surroundings.
the wee shed. Right
The
now.
wee shed.
The wee shed. It's not the he shed. It's not the she shed. It's the wee shed now.
The wee shed.
So
You ought to market that.
it's just we as in French.
The yes shed. The yes dear shed.
Well,
Does she let you keep a toolbox in there so we can call it the wee shed?
we have the box fan. We have the portable radio in there. We have the recliner. We have. I did have to make a concession and have to put the bicycles in there, but no, it's the wee shed, as we call it now. I didn't get to pick the colors on the outside, and
That means you're ashamed of it.
no,
The way you said that, you're ashamed of the colors on the outside.
no, they match the house, but the combination.
You kind of got to go with what you've already got. You don't want it to be looking like the neighbors.
It was only an extra $400 to put the shingles on top of it to match the house too. So I mean, come on, man.
Yeah. Well, you want it to fit in, look nice, and not be an eyesore. You want to be proud when you're standing out there in the
wee shed.
The wee shed. Now I would again. I have the stool. I have the work. We have the workbench. I was also given some of those straps that you can put cords and coils of hose in that you can wrap them up.
So she made sure that you were going to be nice and organized to keep it neat.
I have a key. She doesn't. So that's
okay.
I put the key.
Hey,
I
know
where the extra key is. What's that, David?
Here. Typically, in years past, and of course we're closed today, but in years past, we have been closed on Saturdays through January and February. And this year, in light of the difficulties that everyone's having to endure, and everyone needs to be able to get out and just avoid being stir crazy. We will be open from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturdays, beginning next Saturday. So that's January the 9th. So people who are particularly have interest in house plants and that kind of thing, of course, we'll be open. You can shop our hoop houses where we have our plants. It looks like we're out of business this time of year. We actually have essentially the same selection we've always had. We just move it inside because the weather is unpredictable in the wintertime. Or actually, it's not unpredictable. We're going to have some cold spells. You can't wait until it's going to happen before you go ahead and do it. So we take preventive measures in hand and move things inside. So we have all of the plants; they're just inside. So if you have a landscape situation you're working on, we're going to be here on Saturdays from 10 until 2 all winter long. So I'll be talking about that more in the newsletter in the coming week. And of course, our selection of house plants is really second to none. All the things you want to go with them, decorative containers. We've got a lot more of those that have come in. And of course, Earth Mix Pro Organics I that you want to use. And it's the one that you can get that is absolutely peat free. So you don't get fungus gnats or any of those undesirable things when you use Proganics I. So just keep that in mind as you're thinking about what you're going to do to endure this winter. It's going to be a challenge, but we're going to get through it. It'll be here before you know it.
We're going to have to get Drew in here because, February is when we start to begin to talk about
grass seed
and pre-emerge and those kind of things that get them going on there with them. But it's 75 degrees on New Year's Day. Not too bad in Middle Tennessee, ladies and gentlemen. So it wasn't too bad.
No. Mild weather conditions, so get out, enjoy it, and although more overcast conditions today, going to be a little sunshine tomorrow. So get out, enjoy your weekend, and the outdoor. Good place. Right now the weather doesn't look like it's going to be too extreme. So
what's it going to be in Houston?
You have to stay inside.
Yeah, maybe they'll open the roof in Houston. So, go Titans, tighten up, by the way. We didn't get to go there. Hey, folks, the music means that this edition of the At Home Show is coming to a close, but next Saturday morning we will be here, and we'll be here for you.
Absolutely.
And for everybody here on the At Home Show crew, Tyler over there. Not Travis.
Hello.
Not Travis.
Tyler.
Travis Tyler. Tyler Travis. Okay, that could be his nom de plume. Michael Stevenson. Everybody here, we'll see you next Saturday morning for the At Home Show.
Thanks, Michael.
Yes, sir.
See you,
all right,
everybody.
guys. Be careful.